GTA 6 just got some huge news and details about the extended look on Netflix, and they come straight from the top. We're talking Strauss Zelnick has now spoken to IGN, Variety, and Jason Schreier about what Rockstar is actually doing on August 27th. And between those three interviews, we finally have a big picture of what this thing is going to be, why it's happening on Netflix of all places, and what Rockstar is going to try to accomplish with it. But there was one thing that Strauss Zelnick mentioned that changes my entire perspective on this entire extended look. We also have another detail from the Bloomberg conversation with Jason Schreier that tells us exactly what will not be in it. We're a little over 2 weeks out from the biggest marketing beat this game has had since trailer 2, and the CEO at Take-Two just spent an entire week talking about it to basically every outlet. So let's first talk about what Strauss Zelnick told IGN. The IGN interview is the one that kicked off this entire thing. Zelnick was asked about the Netflix arrangement, and he framed the entire thing as quote-unquote Rockstar experimenting. He said, "I think Rockstar felt that a Netflix release would be a great way to show off the extended trailer. 6 hours later, it will be available on Rockstar's YouTube channel, and I think ultimately on many other outlets. And I think this is an example of Rockstar trying new things and marketing the title, and I hope there's much more to come." So 2 things jump out. First, he called it an extended trailer, not a documentary, not a showcase, not a trailer that's just a regular trailer. He called it an extended trailer. Now, it's worth mentioning that this is kind of loose CEO phrasing, and I wouldn't build a theory on one word, but it is worth, mentioning. Second, and this is the part that I care about, he said he hopes that there is much more to come. So this is the head of the company, literal Take-Two Interactive, the parent company of Rockstar, telling us that August 27th event is not the finish line of this campaign. If anything, it's the starting line. As I mentioned in my last video, he used similar language elsewhere, describing this premiere as one of the hors d'oeuvres before November, which confirms that yes, indeed, that there are more marketing beats coming between now and launch. Now, IGN then pushed him on what fans should actually expect from the extended look, but he refused to answer. But the way that he refused is pretty interesting. His exact quote was this: "It's coming soon enough that I'll let you arrive at your own conclusion. I'm sure you're gonna watch it because everyone is." So he's not correcting anybody's expectations. He's not tempering it. He's just saying that, hey, I'm gonna let you decide. You can choose to decide whatever you want. Typically, when a CEO thinks the internet is overhyping something, they usually, start to manage that down, but he did the opposite. He's gonna let it ride. So next up, we have the Variety interview that gave us one of the most revealing quotes of this entire cycle, and it's honestly a little funny. Zelnick was asked whether reach was the motivation behind the Netflix deal, and as he said this, and I quote, "I think that's a pretty brilliant way to look at it." Then he added, "Last time I checked, I think Netflix had 200 million subscribers. I'm guessing all 200 million of them are going to be watching," which that's kind of a low ball. Netflix has said it's past 325 million subscribers at the end of 2025. Now, obviously, Netflix is not a better video player than YouTube. Netflix is a room where hundreds of millions of people who don't watch game trailers are already sitting, which Netflix's vice president has, echoed that same sentiment, saying that the company wants ambitious storytelling across different media to reach the biggest possible audience on its service. Netflix has been calling the content next generation storytelling and kind of positioning itself as the destination for culture events beyond film and TV. So I understand why they're doing this deal. I think at the end of the day, it really does come down to economics. If they're getting a big old check from Netflix to reveal this thing, not to mention the security factor for putting it on Netflix means that this thing might not leak online early. It's a much safer bet than uploading the video on YouTube where so many other people have access to it. Whereas with Netflix, they really only have to give them all the information whenever it's, comes time. Netflix also deals with, property like this all the time where things, can't leak. They should not leak. They can't leak. And Netflix is pretty good about preventing that stuff. So just from an OPSEC or, the operational security factor for Rockstar's trailer, this does make a lot of sense. So as you guys know, Jason Schreier interviewed Strauss Zelnick for Bloomberg's Game On newsletter, and he asked him directly whether the extended look would feel like watching a Netflix show, to which Zelnick said yes. He also called it a must-see event without offering any specifics, and he also pointed to streaming as a way to reach an audience far beyond people who already have the game pre-ordered. So basically the tens of millions of people who understand the GTA 6 exists but are not day one buyers. Schreier also reported that pre-orders for GTA 6 were unprecedented, which that makes sense. We've heard that from Zelnick himself. Now, we don't have the exact numbers, but regardless, whenever they say it's one of the most successful things ever, yeah, the numbers are going to be pretty crazy. And I don't know if they're going to actually reveal raw data, but I'm sure they will eventually. And I look forward to hearing those numbers. Now, the detail that I think really matters the most that nobody's really talking about is Schreier reported that Rockstar is not planning to talk about GTA 6's online mode anytime soon. I talked about this in my last video, but yeah, it makes sense. it's probably going to be a while before we get GTA Online. Their focus is shipping one of the greatest, biggest single player games ever made, and it makes sense that they wouldn't want to talk about GTA Online when they've just spent how many years developing this single player aspect. Is GTA Online going to be a factor? Of course it is. They're going to want to make this game as big as possible, and the only way that it ever surpasses GTA 5 is if they have the online component. Okay, so let me loop back into what I teased at the beginning of the video before we get into this. The line that really changed how I read the entire presentation is Zelnick confirming to Schreier that it will feel like a Netflix show, but he also used the word extended trailer, which that is pretty massive. But still, what if we're getting trailer 3 at the end of it as well? Because I think a lot of the evidence points harder in one direction than a lot of people realize. So here's the case for it being trailer 3 all but in name. Trailer 2 landed in May of last year, and the wait since then has been pretty brutal, with Take-Two confirming multiple times that the marketing would start in the summer. Outlets like Games Radar are flatly calling it trailer 3 in all but name. Strauss Zelnick himself said extended trailer to IGN, so it kind of fits. The timing fits and the vocab also fits as well. But now here's a case against it, and this is the part that I really want you guys to just really think about. Rockstar never once used the words trailer 3, not even in the Newswire post, not on the website, not on social. They named it an extended look, which this is a very deliberate choice from a studio that doesn't make accidental naming choices. It really does feel like we're getting a mix between a trailer footage, gameplay, and almost a documentary style. So my read is this: I think there's going to be two different things that are coming. First, the extended look is going to be produced, well structured, featuring not only gameplay, like we're talking raw gameplay and a walkthrough of some sort, but also it will feature a trailer as well. I think by the time the showcase ends, we are going to get trailer 3 during this event. But again, I think it's going to be multi-tiered. They're going to give us the appetizer, they're going to give us the main course, and then at the end, they're going to give us the dessert that is trailer 3. So yeah, I have no doubt in my mind that this thing is going to be a stacked event. They're really laying all of their cards on the table, and I look forward to hearing and seeing it all in action on August 27th. So realistically, what should you walk in expecting on in terms of runtime? And what is this event going to be about? Well, there's a figure floating around about roughly 20 to 30 minutes, but we do have to be careful because that number is a rumor and Rockstar has not confirmed the runtime. So treat it as unconfirmed based on a Netflix glitch that may or may not be legitimate. I think it'll end up being around 20 minutes long, maybe like 25 minutes. But again, it's going to be very much segmented. There's going to be a section where there's probably going to be cinematics, probably a section that has specific like real gameplay showing off maybe like AI or the, you know, the quote unquote in Grand Theft Auto 6 where it's got the cool announcement. You know, I think that's going to happen. But then by the end, I think there's going to be a montage that leads into trailer 3. I think it's pretty obvious we're going to see our first proper look at the movement, the driving, the shooting, and the overall traversal in the open world, as well as a first look and an extended look at Leonida in general. I'm expecting to see like maybe a mission or perhaps like a heist sequence as the centerpiece. Perhaps this will be a look at how Jason and Lucia, you know, got in trouble with the law in the first place, and that's almost going to act as like the precursor to the game releasing. I also don't think we're going to see a deep dive on the progression or the economy or any of the post-launch roadmap stuff. Like none of that's going to happen, but they are going to be unveiling the world that they've created, and it's going to be pretty hype, and I look forward to every single second of it. But here is one of the expectations that I think is worth managing the hardest. If this thing is built for people who do not follow games, it's going to spend real screen time explaining what Leonida is and who the characters are. That right there is going to be time spent on the systems. Yeah, I would say be ready for a chunk of it to really feel like it was made for people that don't understand gaming. But yeah, that's going to wrap it up with this video. Let me know what your thoughts are down in the comment section. Do you guys think we're going to get a separate trailer 3 before November 19th? Or is the extended look going to have everything that we want? Gameplay, a deep dive into the world, as well as trailer 3 during it? Let me know in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe with the noties on. And until next time, this has been Wes, and I'll talk to you in the next one.